no denial, no delay. Solar thermal is the way. No denial, no delay. Solar thermal is the way.
Bring in all your documents, we'll make copies for you, and we'll work through that. Okay? All right, nice to talk to you, John.
So you're going to roll it all the way down your line, and the person on the back's going to run up the front.
All right, let's go. Well, today it'll be the third Saturday in a row that we've been leafleting in Richmond, and we're just hoping to get some more information out there, remind people that climate change is an issue in this election. Both major parties are trying to bury it, and just to, it's about having a presence in the community and disseminating information. It's going to be a circus. The parties are all out. Campaign material is a scorecard. One side just says vote climate and then a little blurb about why climate change is an important issue on which to base your vote. The other side is a scorecard which shows Labor, Liberal and the Greens and sort of 5 major policy points that we think are critical in terms of climate change policies and where each of the 3 parties stand. I'll put the bag underneath. There. You don't reach everyone, but you're trying to reach sort of one person at a time, and you get a lot of people who are interested in what you're doing and interested in walk away reading the flyer, and some might look at the website, and it's not about convincing every single person, but it's about just that one person at a time, getting them to understand how important the issue is and how what they do is crucial in terms of getting somewhere and solving it. Well, look, we're a local group. We're called Yarra Climate Action now. Yep. And so what we've done is, together with some other local groups in the seat of Melbourne and outside, we've got a Vote Climate campaign, and we're non-partisan. Vote Climate is a politically non-partisan campaign, so we're rating the parties, I guess, with an independent eye. We're not afraid to show people what the truth about where the parties stand, but we're not affiliated with any particular party. So next election, if the parties have different policies, then we'll rate them differently.
Good morning, Officer Maxine Moran. Andrew speaking. Working with Maxine has been great, but one of the things there is she's a cabinet minister now, and it's just been such a change because, from a backbencher then to a parliamentary secretary to a cabinet minister, it's a whole different ball game. Because here in the local office, a lot more responsibility really on me and on the others in the office here to just sort of keep everything going and to be in control of everything here and to be managing the whole show, because Maxine obviously can't be here all the time as a cabinet minister. So there's a lot of electronic interaction and a pretty heavy workload in this area, so it's a marginal seat, so where I was working all the time. Just keeping a track on any state government stories or anything that might be relevant to what we're doing, particularly with Maxine as a minister now. There's often stories about what she's doing as Minister for Children or Minister for Women's Affairs, so that's always in there. So we keep track of all that stuff, keep records of everything, and in the local papers too, we're always, working at getting some coverage in that. Yeah, it's a real juggling act actually, because there's all kinds of things going on at the same time, and you have to be able to just change hats and just juggle and keep it all, keep all the balls in the air at the same time. Because I'm managing the campaign, that is a really full-on job, and that's something that takes up a good part of my working time. But there's a real crossover though, because that also involves just interacting with people, writing out to community groups or schools or individuals, about issues, about policies, about anything that we're doing. But you'll then get, of course, random phone calls from people about, whatever kind of issues that they need direct help with, and you've got to, of course, switch tack to deal with them, and that's just It's actually really good. I really like that part of it because it's a one-on-one interaction where you're suddenly switching to actually talking to someone who's just come in the front door or is rung up and has got a problem that they need help with. And actually it's one of the more fulfilling parts of it really, because you're actually just helping someone, you know, with their problem. So.
All right, so I'm nearly ready. I'm just packing all my stuff to head off to the Garma Festival in the Northern Territory, which is a celebration of Indigenous culture, and there's a whole bunch of sort of cross-cultural learnings for young people, and there's an education theme to the conference this year. And it all came about because the Eastern Community Legal Centre has been lobbying really hard around human rights, and particularly a National Human Rights Act. But part of that is education, so we've got this workshop. So the Human Rights or Aussie Rules workshop is an interactive training session, and it's aimed at teaching children and young people about human rights through a kind of metaphor of sport and fair play. And there's 4 themes. We look at freedom, respect, equality and dignity, and we do an activity around each one.
So here's Amy at the Garma Festival. Amy, how's it going for you?
It's been great, but I'm exhausted. It's been really fun and really tiring. We've developed a reputation as those people who give out free footballs, which is good because it means we become job codes. And what else?
What's been the best thing so far?
Best thing so far? Just the handball competition. It's just really fun and engaging. We had a great line of kids and got everyone involved. But maybe the workshop will be better tomorrow. So what do you reckon? If there's only 3 of us, do you reckon we should just jump across to the other side? What do you reckon? Yeah. Stand up while you put it in. I like this. Not fair. So you jump right to the point here. This is what it's about. You're allowed to go for whichever team you want to, aren't you? So there might only be 1 or 2 of you. And everybody else is going for Collingwood. But you're allowed to go for your team. So does anyone else want to jump over to Adelaide? That's all right too, you can all take the Collingwood. Okay! Now this is the glory bit. You have to walk forward and follow the other person in front of you and hold hands facing me. Okay, and stop! Who got 5 points? Who got 10 points? Who got 100 points?
What did I get out of this week? Well, it was just a really great opportunity to run that workshop in a different environment. We've done it in schools in Melbourne before, but it's been quite a white middle class kind of background. We really needed to test it with a different community and see if it translated well. And I think it did. I think some of those principles of sport are such universal concepts that people just know how we expect people to behave on the sports field. And if you ask people to think about how they might translate that into their lives, it makes a lot of sense. We like we say in the workshop, we have the freedom to go for whatever sports team we want, and we don't criticise the fact that people can do that, and yet we ask people to change their fundamental religious beliefs sometimes. You know, that's such a different concept.
Melbourne is a critical seat because it's a Green Labor marginal, and so there's an actual choice between, you know, half-decent climate policies and atrocious climate policies, whereas in almost every other seat in the country, you've got a choice between Labor and Liberal, effectively, who's going to win the seat anyway, and that's a choice between really bad climate policies and really bad climate policies. So the seat of Melbourne is a key race because there's a real choice there in terms of climate change. No denial, no delay. Solar thermal is the way. No denial, no delay. I've always been interested in social justice issues. My family, I've come from a family of people who have always been interested in social justice issues. My grandfather was a Holocaust survivor, and he spent the rest of his life in anti-fascist campaigning and also doing a lot of social justice, and I was always very aware of his story from a very young age. And so I was always doing, you know, human rights stuff, and at uni I was doing fighting the slow privatisation of the higher education system under the Howard government. And as I started to learn more about climate change, I started to realise that if you cared about social justice, then you had to care about climate change, because climate change is turning into the biggest social injustice that humanity has ever seen.
What the scientists are telling us very loud and clear, and what people like UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon are saying, is that we have around about 5 to 10 years to turn this ship around, or we are running an unacceptable risk of climate change.
So we've got a whole lot of pictures in here from local primary school students for the Waverley Art Competition, which is this primary school art competition we do each year. It's a huge amount of work, but it's really worthwhile because we have this big presentation day at Parliament coming up in a couple of weeks, and you know, you see the look on the kids' face and the families' faces and all that, and they are just absolutely rapt. So it's really good. It's a while ago actually, because really while I was at uni, and I was really passionate about politics then and had a real beamer bonnet about it, but I wasn't actually sort of actively involved. But I started volunteering and helping out, which is often the way, you know, in politics. And what actually got, in terms of motivation, what first got me into it really was just, it was really the Howard era, and around that time, and just I'd just be awake at night just gnashing my teeth with frustration, and it was really for the sake of my health as much as anything. I wanted to, you know, I sleep much better now, even though the workload means that, you know, I'm working hard, I still get better sleep. So that's, yeah, that's just one of the things that we do here, along with, you know, helping constituents and all that sort of thing, and we also get to judge art, so that's a bit of fun.
Oh gosh, well I've always been interested in human rights. I guess it's that kind of feeling of fairness and what's unfair and wanting to address those things. So having worked as a social worker before, it's all about social justice and addressing that and creating social change. And now I've had the opportunity as part of this job to help facilitate those workshops and to be involved in the development of this program. And the idea of taking it to a remote community and really trying it out in that community really appealed to me, because we've run it here in Melbourne, and we run it in quite white middle class schools with kids who have a certain experience, and to take it somewhere else and see if what we're proposing is a bit more universal, and to see if it really does work as well as we hope, was a really great opportunity.
I think people have progressively got more cynical about politics and about the whole process and about political parties. I think we all are familiar with that. But that's not always all the feedback you get, because people do have respect for their local MP or a politician who really works hard for the local area and who's got some conviction about what they're doing. And that's why it's been really interesting here with Maxine, particularly with the abortion law reform bill, which Maxine, as Women's Affairs Minister, introduced and pushed through Parliament. That was such a major thing. I mean, we had people protesting, placards, posts protesting at the front door, with cameras in our face, the whole thing. And, you know, we've got to withstand that and push through, and she was very brave in doing that, and we were backing all the way, of course, because it's really important reform, you know, giving women choice and giving them the means to be able to take their health into their own hands was really important reform.
The Eastern Community Legal Centre's been doing a lot of lobbying around a National Human Rights Charter. That's something that's happening at a political level. But I think that the law, if it ever comes, is only going to be one branch of a broader policy about the kind of country that we want to live in. And I think that if you have a law, you also need to have an education policy, and you need to really embed the principles so that the community understands them and the community has the language that they need. So the workshop really is giving kids and young people the language of human rights and developing an understanding of those concepts of freedom and respect, equality and dignity in ways that they understand and in things that are relevant to them, so that we can then translate that and really embed a culture of human rights.
We're talking about an issue that is pretty much the only issue, maybe apart from peak oil, which has the capacity to completely destroy our civilization. And it's not something I say lightly, but something that has the capacity to kill and impoverish hundreds of millions, if not billions of people. And yeah, something that I couldn't just stand by and allow to happen.